This is what I know to be true so far, the show that inspires you to awaken the magic within and step into your most authentic life. I'm Carrie Ann McKenzie, a multi-passionate spiritual mentor, magic maker, nature energy alchemist, and creator of the Rebellion of Love. If you're ready to experience self-liberation and create a life entirely on your terms, this is the show for you. I'm so grateful to have you with me on this journey to awakening the magic within with what I know to be true so far. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of What I Know to Be True so far. I'm super excited about this episode because I get to talk about one of my favorite subjects. Actually, I get to talk about three of my favorite subjects. One is manifestation, one is alignment, and one is love, aka talking about soulmates. And I am so honored and so grateful that one of my biggest manifestations, that is by far the best manifestation to date, has to be manifesting my dream partner and my soulmate. Now, I want to preface this episode by saying a few things about this epic manifestation. And I want to be really clear that soulmates, I do believe, come in many shapes and forms. And I'm just talking about my experience and what I know to be true so far. That's not to say follow it blindly. Just take what feels true for you and go with that and leave the rest behind, if you know what I mean. I do believe that you can have soulmates. I do believe that you can love someone really deeply and they are not necessarily your life partner. And I also believe that you can fall in love with your soulmate and that is the love of your life. And I truly believe in that 100%. I believe in it because it's what I have, and I believe in it because it's what I have seen. But I think that it's important to be really open that maybe in this lifetime, you have soulmates and soul contracts that you enter in with people, and maybe they don't turn into being the love of your life. Maybe it's just for a season and a reason, right? Maybe you deeply love someone, but you don't have that eternal being in love feeling. I'm talking from my own experience. I truly believe my ex-husband and I had a soul contract. I know I loved him deeply, but I also know that I was never in love with him. It was never that deep, like world-blowing love. And I think that all are perfect and all are okay. And I think if you want to manifest a lifelong partner who is your soulmate and you love them deeply, that requires a lot of work and focus and stepping up to being the best version of yourself. And so if you want to manifest your life partner, think about that in terms of why do I want to manifest that life partner? Because where you're trying to manifest these things from make a really big difference. And I mean, to simplify it, we're really looking at, are you trying to manifest a partner from the energy of love? Or are you trying to manifest a partner from the energy of fear? Because if you're manifesting a partner from the energy of love, you're manifesting from a place that's already whole. If you're manifesting from a place of fear, you're trying to create or call in a partner or a soulmate from this place of desperation, neediness, lack, even revenge, right? And so there's a really big advantage if you know where you're manifesting from. And I also want to say this process works for manifesting any fucking thing you want to manifest in your life. It is such an incredible process and I'm super excited to share it with you. So let's dive into it today because I just know that you're going to love this. If you have any questions, if you've had any experiences with this, message me. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to know your questions. And I'm really stoked to be sharing so much more of this kind of work with you. So the process that I use when I'm manifesting anything, when I'm teaching my clients and helping them with coaching, whether it's through energy therapy work or the holistic work that I do, these are the steps that I always make clear in the manifestation process. And within these steps, there is also another framework that I will share with you. And I'm going to do more on this framework later in other episodes because I think it's so important. I've touched on it in previous episodes. If you've done any of my alignment episodes, you would have heard it there, but I'm going to dive way more into it so that I can really make this clear for as many people as possible, because I think we need this so much in the world right now, and for people to feel empowered by this process so that we can really step into our real true potential from a really soft, grounded, beautiful, nurturing place, and not from this manic, egoic place of hustling. Okay, so if you want to manifest anything, but especially the love of your life and your soulmate, you need to follow these steps. Ask, believe, align, act, allow, receive. Now let's go into each one of them. Asking is getting super fucking clear on what you want and deciding exactly what you want. It's very simple. You need to know what you're shooting for so that you know where to project your energy, your focus, and also all of the other manifesting conditions in the alignment. The second is believe, which is clearing out any of the blocks, beliefs, or energies that contradict the belief in having the thing you want. Simple, right? Then we've got align. Now, align is aligning the manifesting conditions with your mind, which is your subconscious and your conscious mind. With your soul, that is your intuition and your soul connection. With your body, that is your physical and energetic body. And with your environment, and that is your physical environment, but that is also your media environment and your spiritual environment. So whatever you want to manifest, as long as you line up all of those things so that they match the thing that you want, you're going to be able to manifest really, really easily. Next is acting. When you are in alignment, you have to take action. This is the part that so many people skip. And they wait and they wait and they wait and they keep saying that they're waiting for a divine timing. And it drives me insane because divine timing is so important, but it still requires you to take action. So yes, you have to take action, but you have to make sure that you're in alignment first. This allows that action to be effortless. Effortless action is what you want to go for. That doesn't mean you don't have to get out of your comfort zone. That doesn't mean you don't have to do things. What it means is that the energy behind your action is coming from a natural flow, and it's not coming from forcing, it's not coming from resisting, it's not coming up from any of that energy. It's aligning and then following the path of where that alignment is taking you. So this concept can be explained with Wu Wei, which is a Taoist concept, and that is really going with the rhythm of life and with the flow. So you can still have goals, you can still have desires, you can still want to have a soulmate in your life, but you can make this effortless, right? I can get into a little bit more what effortless action looks like in other episodes because it's super, super, super powerful if you can really get it right. It's very magical, it's very non-control freak, and it's very allowing. And so allow is the next step. So I'll dive into that, which is really going totally with this energy that the universe is trying to make it easy for you so you don't have to force things that don't feel right. You are just allowing things to come and flow easily to you. So you're following the nudges. You're using things like your human design strategy and your authority, your not self theme to really guide you, and you're letting divine intervention do her thing. Knowing the difference between divine intervention and upper limits is really important because divine intervention is like a redirection, and it's allowing things to be what they're supposed to be without you trying to hold on and grip and control. There is a difference though between an upper limit. So if you're dating a guy and let's say you have an anxious attachment style and then you're like going into that anxious attachment style and you're freaking out and you're becoming like clingy and you're like messaging that person a million freaking times a day and you only matched a week ago, that is upper limit energy. It's also not allowing, right? And so you have to be really careful to understand like when is this divine intervention that it just isn't working? Like you keep trying to make it work, but it's just not really working, right? And you're not allowing it to be easy versus you're not allowing it to be easy because you have now hit an upper limit and you are starting to act out of character and you are starting to step into the fear energy, right? And so that's a really big thing to notice about allowing too. Are you allowing from the energy of love, right? So the final step with this manifestation process is to receive. It is being open to it all working out, and it is managing your sabotaging behavior when things are going really good, AKA the manifestation's coming, the soulmate is showing up, and all of a sudden everything's working and it's like magical. And you're like, oh my freaking God, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I'm laughing because I have been through this multiple times in my journey with Tim. You enter into sabotaging behavior. You are not receiving the love. You are not receiving the amazing man. Or like even my very first date, I was rejecting like the most perfect man for me. I was still in the state of not receiving. So it came my way and I almost didn't even go on a second date because I was so not ready to receive. And so really understanding the receiving component to your manifestation so that when they come up, you've got the container to hold it because it makes it a lot easier. But it's okay if you don't have that container worked out because I promise you that soulmate has come into your life to make you expand in ways that you just never even thought were possible. Okay, because I'm talking about my story today, I wanted to talk a little bit about how this process went down for me in the real world. Because one thing that I really think is important is to know that when you manifest your soulmate, when you start on this journey, I promise you, it's not what you think it is. Like, it's just not. We think that we're going to meet our soulmate and it's all just going to be like fucking sunshines and rainbows. And sometimes I think that that's true for the people that haven't come with like generational trauma and bags or like, in my case, like truckloads of trauma. Yeah. Maybe when you meet your soulmate, it's like pretty smooth sailing. But if you're coming with like a history and you meet your soulmate and you're a conscious being and you take responsibility for your life, oh my gosh, get ready for that ride to be requiring you to dig into the deepest parts of you to grow into the best version of you. And that shit ain't easy. So I'm going to give you a really truthful, vulnerable play by play through these steps of manifestation, what they really look like, because sometimes you can miss out on the most incredible relationship just because you think it's supposed to be super freaking easy and no one's supposed to do any hard work. And that is not the case for majority of conscious relationships. So let's talk about ask. I got real clear on what I wanted. I was doing a visualization one day, and this is like a practice of designing a life. And this is a practice I actually take my students through as well. It's really visualizing yourself waking up in your ideal life, how you want it to be for yourself. And when I woke up in this visualization, I was in my bed and like I could smell the linen sheets and it was just like so real. It was wild. And I walked over to my window and I saw a man in the garden and I could see tomatoes in his hands and he was like fussing over these tomatoes and it was making me laugh. And I couldn't see his face, but I knew it was my soulmate. And the visualization went up from there and I lived out like my entire day in my dream life and my partner was there throughout the whole day. I never saw his face and I knew that I was so fulfilled and happy in my relationship in this visualization. And I was like, what is this person like, you know? And I started to write it down, like, what do I want? What kind of relationship do I want? And I got very clear on all the details, what he likes, what values he has, how I felt when I was around him, what we did together, what his passions were, the kind of sex life we would have, how we would spend downtime, our level of creativity. I had on there crazy things like he cooked, he loved to garden, he was super cuddly, he was into personal development, he was very conscious, he was into spirituality, but he wasn't one of those wacky spiritual elitist dudes. You have to get very specific about the kind of person that you want to manifest, not the specific person. I see a lot of SP business on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and it's so immoral. I don't agree with it at all. The idea of taking away someone's will through your manifestation work should feel gross because it's gross. It should just feel yucky because it's yucky. You should never, ever, 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 ever try to force, manipulate manifestations and magics so that a specific, and I'm talking like specific as in a particular person that you know is going to turn out to be a soulmate. That's not a game I would recommend to anybody. It's so immoral in the world of spirituality, and it's really unethical in the world of magic too. Let people be who they want to be. Don't try to be manifesting that specific person for you, because what it's going to keep giving you is lessons. It's going to keep giving you lesson after lesson after lesson until you realize that requirement for that specific person to love you is coming from the energy of fear. And when you manifest from the energy of fear, you're going to keep getting lesson after lesson after lesson until you figure out nothing is ever going to fill that fucking hole inside of you, that hole of desperation, that hole of longing, none of it. The only thing that's going to fix that is learning to love yourself. So this manifesting a SP soulmate, no thank you. Please don't use any of my tips for manifestation to do that, because it's not going to end well for you. And I also want to just touch on this as well, because I mentioned that I wrote a list about what I wanted. Now, every single thing on my list I got in my partner, my beautiful, amazing, incredible soulmate, Tim. Except for one thing. And that one thing was that I wanted him to be Scottish. And the more I have sat with this, the more I have this deep understanding that that falls into SP territory. When you start saying, I want them to be tall with dark hair and green eyes, we're now starting to get into this area of SP manifestation, specific person manifestation. So when you are trying to manifest, I want you to focus on the emotions and how you feel and the kinds of things you'll do together and the kind of person he is, he or she or they are, right? I want you to focus on that and don't get hung up on, oh, well, I wanted him to be a teacher. I didn't want him to be an engineer, right? Because if you think about it, it's the external, it's the image, it's what ego wants. Your soul does not care about what your soulmate looks like, what kind of job they have, and what country they're from or what language they speak. That's like the egoic mind. And if you remove all of the egoic mind and you just focus on everything else, like what does your soul desire? For example, your soul might want to be in a relationship with the kind of guy that likes to spend Saturday morning lying under a tree reading books, eating delicious food, right? What matters is their values and what they value in life. What matters is what they like to do, their love languages and how they like to express them, and whether that's what you want. What matters is how you want to feel when you're around them. And what matters is the kind of life you'll have together. You know, like the compatibility of your two lives together as a couple and the level of love that you have for each other, right? Not what they look like and not what they do for a profession and not where they come from, if that makes sense. That's getting into the egoic mind, specific person, fear-based manifestation versus love-based manifestation, which is only focused on the kinds of feelings that you'll have when you guys are together. Next was believing, and believing for me was actually super easy. It was super, super, super easy. I mean, I definitely had moments where I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be in the dating scene. But I definitely knew I was always going to find the love of my life and my soulmate. I just thought it was going to be like in my 60s. And I also had this belief that I'm going to live my most happiest life, whatever life that is. I'm going to be so happy and I'm going to have so many incredible experiences. And if I never meet the person of my dreams, I'm still going to grow and be happy and live in a cottage, and it's going to be witchy with cats and lavender and all my spell stuff. And so I always had like this, vision of like, I am going to find the love of my life, but it was also held really lightly with zero resistance with, if it doesn't, that's okay as well, because I'm going to have the most amazing, beautiful life. And I think that's when I really shifted into believing that someday is fine, no day is fine, And all I really wanted at the end of the day was to feel the energy of love. And so I focused on clearing out any of the blocks and any of the beliefs that I had around the energy of love. I really want you to hear this because I think this makes such a difference when you shift the focus of believing you are worthy of love and the energy of love and not like a person. It does something. It really, truly does. So the next area is aligning. Now, guys, this is hilarious because I freaking took this pretty seriously. I made my life and my world so loved up. If you go through these different areas and you do the work on a mind, soul, body, environment level so that everything matches, like every single thing matches the energy of love, it's so hard for you not to experience love in your life. It's almost impossible. That's why alignment work is so fucking powerful. Because if your subconscious mind and your conscious mind are in the vibration and energy of love and you think loving thoughts about yourself, about other people, about life, and you're connected to your soul on a really intuitively deep knowing that you are so worthy of love and living from that energy of love, and you show up for your body and you love on your body so hard that you take really good care of it, and your physical body as well as your energetic body is vibrating at such a high frequency because you love it so much. And your environment, every single thing you surround yourself with, like even people, do not spend time with people who bag out men if you're wanting to manifest your soulmate. Like that is the wrong frequency. That is the wrong energy. Talk to people who have loving relationships. Follow people that have met the loves of their lives. Go and seek out influences that in your environment that are going to be reassuring you of the possibility of love. And then from that aligned love, the next step is act. And I acted accordingly. Let me tell you, I acted so much from the energy of love. I started to really enjoy life. I started to go on random dates. I had no idea if those random dates were going to lead to a dream partner. And I had no expectations of it has to be this one. I was always like, it could be, but who cares? Let's just have a lot of fun and let's enjoy life. I dated lots and lots of people and I allowed myself to have lots of fun, and I focused on self-love and really enjoying the feelings of lust and, just being single for like the first time in 20 years. Like I just really, really enjoyed it. But I also made time to love on myself and act in that way. I took up pottery. I was doing way more art. I was doing like all of this stuff, right? That I really wanted to have in my own mirrored relationship when I finally did meet my soulmate. You want to make sure that you are 100% in love with yourself before you go and open up to someone else loving you, right? That is acting and taking aligned action. Other aligned actions are like going to things that the kinds of people that you want to have a relationship with go to. It's dating and it's expanding your mindset on who you would date. Honestly, like if I was not in this space of allowing myself to be fun and try to, meet and date new people, I would never have gone for Tim. Like he was not my typical kind of guy. So step out of your comfort zone and act in a way that's going to allow you to create more opportunities to meet people, right? I'm not saying go and match with every person on Tinder and see how you go, because that is not it at all. I'm saying follow your intuition, follow your alignment, and don't listen to your head, listen to your gut and listen to your heart and act from that place. Act from the energy of love. Okay. And then the next area is allowing. Oh my gosh, I feel so awkward talking about this because when I matched with my dream partner, I did not know that that's what it was. And by this point, like I was having a lot of fun. I was really collecting men like they were Pokemon and enjoying my life. And I was dating a lot and went on my first date with Tim, and it had been like 3 months of texting or something like that. We'd finally met in person and I thought he was really interesting. And I felt like something was like different about him, but to me, I was confused. For starters, he didn't kiss me goodnight or try to like make a move at all. And it was weird. He left my house and I was like, I'm so confused. I think my ego was like hurt. If I'm being honest, I probably felt a little bit rejected because, you know, he didn't try to like make a move or even ask me on a second date or anything. Like he just kind of was like, cool, this has been a really nice afternoon. See you later. And like left. And I was like, okay, that was so not what I thought it was going to be. But the truth was that, this guy was so nice and so kind and so interesting. And he was really interested in me and my brain and not just my body. And he was not trying to get in my pants. And I hadn't really had much of that since I had been on the dating scene. And so when he asked me to go on a second date, I was genuinely surprised. I wasn't going to say yes, even. And one of my friends, she sort of said, babe, maybe you should go out with the guy who like didn't try to sleep with you on the first date. Maybe you should go out with him again. You guys have like a lot in common and maybe you should just try. And I went on the second date, and it was during that second date, we were sitting by a fireplace and we were talking about life and our values. And I just remember looking at him and he was talking about creativity and he was talking about the pain body and I can't totally, but not in like a spiritually pretentious way, in like a really deep way about how, it shaped his view on the world and how he's really went through this process of changing the kind of person he used to be into being the person he was, sitting in front of me. And I remember just hearing in my head, you're going to love this man for the rest of your life. And I was like, oh my God, I think this is something so much bigger than what I thought it was. I really never experienced this feeling of knowing something so deeply in my core, so strongly. And there's no real way to explain it because it is unexplainable. And the depth and the kind of love that we do have, which I won't get too much into, it is nothing like I've ever seen or known or even heard of from any other person that I've ever met in my life. And I feel so grateful for the depth that we have. And there is so much magic to doing the hard work. When you find a person like this, that you do not let them get away. So let's talk about the final step of manifestation, which is receiving. I'm going to try to do this without cracking up laughing because this was so hard for me. It was so hard for Tim as well. We both had a really hard time of accepting each other and the amount of love we had for each other, which sounds silly, but I'm telling you, it was hard. It was hard to let Tim love me. It was hard to let Tim help me. It was hard to let me be so soft and vulnerable with someone who just genuinely loved me, man. Like, not, it's even hard to describe because it wasn't like he loved me for the person that I was on the outside. It was like this dude saw me and just totally loved me. And I felt the exact same way towards him, and we had mirrored experiences. So I think it's always a work in progress too. Like, I don't think we've nailed this fully. Like, I think that we still have moments. We've had 3 very big moments where our relationship nearly ended because we did not navigate things really well. And those 3 moments have been huge. And every time it's been hitting an upper limit in our relationship. And one of us has tried to blow it up. And the only reason it hasn't fully blown up is because we are capable of 3 things. And this is where I think it gets really important, because you might manifest your soulmate and you just think it's going to be like a walk in the park. And as you start to have challenges, if you can do these 3 things, I promise you, both of you, by the way, not just one person, both people in the relationship, if you can do these 3 things, it's going to make it the most incredible relationship. And I think it's so important to focus on these things. And the first one is taking responsibility for your crap, owning your bullshit, right? Like, you have to take responsibility for yourself. In the moment, that's very hard to do. And so something I love about Tim and I is that we are able to go through big challenges and see like the not nice side of each other, and then give each other the trust to know that that person's going to come around and take responsibility for their crap. And we're both very, very good at this. Not always in the moment. I really want to point that out, because when you're in it, it's so much harder. But when you step back to take responsibility and then make a change in your behavior is incredible. And I think that's how, when you have a soulmate, it's like it's creating this container of growth all the time because of that reason. You're not just settling for a subpar relationship. You are showing up as the best person and you're taking responsibility. Like, I remember really early on in our relationship, Tim said to me, I've never had a partner who does this. And he's like, we had this moment on the phone and you got off the phone and you called me back 10 minutes later and you're like, hey, like, I just really felt like I was in my ego in that moment and I was kind of being a bit deflective and I was defensive and I kind of wasn't really nice in that moment. I'm really sorry about that. And we got off the phone and Tim was saying to me later, I've just never met anyone who does that. And I was like, yeah, I think that's the vibe we want to bring, right? We want to bring vulnerability and we want to bring this like tenderness to like, hey, I love you so much and it's bringing up so many things for me, and just taking responsibility for what they are and responsibility for your shitty behavior, because sometimes you will not be your best self. And if you try to blame and project and then say it was like the other person and their fault and blah, 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 when you know deep down inside intuitively that you haven't, honored your values and you haven't honored the agreements in your relationship or the boundaries in the relationship, like you want to own that. You want to own that and take that responsibility. And then you want to make it your responsibility as well, not to just own it, but to put things in place to change so that behavior doesn't happen again, right? And that is an expectation. If you both have that and you both live that in your relationship and you are in a soul committed relationship, like that is going to be such an incredible, amazing, powerful thing for both of you. The second thing that Tim and I are really good at is that we are committed to being better and getting better and being like better humans. We both as individuals and also as a couple, we take initiative to be the best versions that we can be and not just allow like our mind and our ego to run the show. That doesn't mean we get it right all the time. Oh my God, we do not get this perfect. Even when recently we had this thing where it was like 2 days of like us not being ourselves. And Tim said like, hey, shit got real crazy there. We're really not acting like ourselves. And it was this moment where I was like, oh, just when you think you have nailed it, just when you think you got it all figured out, things come up. Upper limits happen. Read the book by Gay Hendricks. That'll definitely help you if you're in the journey of finding your soulmate. So be committed to being the best version of yourself, because when you show up as the best version of yourself, you grow exponentially as a couple and you allow the relationship container to expand you, and you are in this really beautiful, yummy, delicious space. Every time you upgrade, every time you go through a big thing and then you take responsibility and you commit to growing, it gets better and better and better. And the third thing I think is so important and so crucial. I know it is in our relationship, but I think in anybody's relationship with a committed soul life partner, is loving deeper. Like, be committed to loving deeper and having more compassion for yourself, for your relationship, and for every single challenge that you face. So not having judgment, right? Obviously, like, you have boundaries. There is certain things that you cannot and will not tolerate in a relationship. If Tim was to ever raise a hand at me, I would be so fucking out of there. It's not even funny. No second chances, right? But I'm talking about general challenges in relationships, because you're going to have conflict. And you can't just run from conflict. If you just run from conflict, you miss out on every opportunity to expand as a human being and to have a soul expansion. You also don't want to make conflict a huge part of your relationship either. And you want to be in that middle space where it's okay to be human beings and you have compassion for that. You have compassion for the other person being a human. You have compassion for every challenge that you face together and every obstacle you go through, every new layer or new level of love. And you commit to loving so deeply and having more and more compassion with every single hurdle that you face. Because here's the really important thing about manifesting your soulmate. And I know I said this earlier in the episode, but I want to reiterate it. When you meet your soulmate, you know. There is no question of that fact. Even when Tim and I had problems in our relationship at the 1 year mark, and that was massive, huge, wildly challenging for both of us as human beings, as a couple, everything. Never did I ever question if he was my soulmate, and never did he question if I was his. And when you have that level of knowing, and they also have that level of knowing, this is very important, because sometimes people get "this is my soulmate" confused with "I have a deep desire for this person to be my soulmate." If you have a relationship and you both know that you are each other's soulmate and you are both like committed to this thing, I want you to be so understanding to the fact that this is going to test you, that this is going to put you in positions where you have to really do the inner work, and it's not going to be perfect. And if you can really understand that you're always going to have these moments of expansion, and as long as through that expansion, there is kindness and there is respect and there is all of the beautiful values that you set out for your relationship, and you take responsibility for and you commit to being a lifelong partner of this person and being the best version for them that you possibly can be, you're going to have the most amazing relationship. So I want you to think about this. If you want to manifest your soulmate, are you ready for that kind of level of manifestation work? Do you know what you want? Have you worked through all of your beliefs? Are you in the energy and frequency of love with your beliefs? Have you aligned your mind, body, soul, and environment to be of the energy of love? Have you gone and taken action towards opening yourself up to love and dating and all these things? Do you go with the flow, or do you try to control? Do you try to control those people that you are dating to be the one? Because that is a thing, and I'm not judging. I've been there. I've done, things like that when I was younger in my past as well. I know how hard it can be when you really want to have a relationship and you're trying to make them be the one. I did that. I did that with my 13-year relationship, and it was not fucking fair on anybody to do that. And are you open to receiving? Are you open to shit working out? Are you open to the universe bringing you a person in a surprising and delightful way? Are you open to all the possibilities? All right. So I've got a little bit of homework for any of my people who are trying to manifest their soulmate. I would love for you to go through this process: ask, believe, align, act, allow, receive, and really step into what does this all look like. And if you've got any questions on any of these different areas, I'm going to be doing episodes on each one where I give you the activities for asking, believing, aligning, acting, allowing, and receiving. And these are going to be for generalized manifestations. So listen to future episodes as well where I dive into this deeper. And you can always come and book a session with me if you would like to come and see me at my studio, and we can go and work on all of these things together. Or you can do one of my holistic coaching programs and work more closely with me. Thank you for joining me in this episode. Enjoy your day, and I will see you in the next episode. And until then, keep on exploring what it is that you know to be true so far.